Welcome to the Life is Better With You Here podcast with Dr. Childs. Here, we want to help, and where there's help, there's hope. A short disclaimer. This podcast is not a replacement for therapy. If you feel you need treatment, we strongly suggest you visit your physician or go to lifeisbetterwithyouhere.org/therapists/ for assistance finding a mental health provider. This episode is included in our mini-series titled Unaliving Prevention. Our goal with this mini-series is to bring awareness to a wide array of groups within the Black community that we feel could be served better. With these episodes, we want to do what we can to foster open conversations that are inclusive and create a safer environment for us all. Subjects in this series may trigger some or contain topics not suitable for all audiences. Please use your discretion. In today's episode, we will focus on mature adults. Now here's our host, Dr. Childs.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Life is Better With You Here. We are going into the second part of our series, which is focused on. We recently did adolescents and teens, and now we're going to move on to older adults, which is dear to my heart. I worked in a nursing home as a therapist, counselor, social worker for about 15 years. So I love elderly, older, mature, my ancestors. I love older adults. You want to talk about walking history books? Talk to an elderly person. The whole saying that there is nothing new under the sun, talk to your elderly. There's nothing new under the sun, and you will find out some good stuff and be like, wait, what? Nothing new under the sun. We may say it different, but baby, they done did it. Nothing new under the sun. So we're going to talk about that population. And sometimes we can be surprised that we're talking about older adults because we think they've lived this long. Why would they be thinking about, well, there's a lot of reasons. And working with this population as long as I have seen it, I have heard it, I understand why they would think that. And even though I no longer work in a nursing home and I am a psychologist, I still have older adults that I work with that are 70, 80. I don't have any 90-year-olds. Oh, yes, I do. I have some 90-year-olds. So when I talk to them, again, the walking history book is phenomenal. It's funny. It's hilarious. Some of it is sad. It helps you to see how trauma as a kid grows with you throughout your life. And you truly, some people never forget it. And I can see how the trauma has impacted throughout their life. Like it's like a textbook for me to see what that looks like when people talk about trauma and the impact it has throughout your life. Sit and talk to a 70 or 80-year-old. You will be amazed. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. And it is truly a lesson. If you haven't done it, please sit down and do it. They are a wealth of information and hilarious. So before we get started, I always like to ground us with a guided meditation. And for this one, I picked one that's called Eagle in the Sky. And I picked this one because eagles are regal, as I feel our older adults are. They are regal. They soar. They have been through a lot, and they see a world from a much higher perch than we do. So they are soaring in this. So let's start with this guided meditation. So as you relax now and listen to my voice, think about yourself melting into the most comfortable chair you own. As your body lets go and goes limp, allow the feeling of weightlessness to take over. Close your eyes and feel yourself floating, weightless and free. Imagine yourself resting outside under a clear blue sky, and as you look up, you see a bald eagle. Seemingly motionless and buoyant, The ego floats along the gentle currents of the wind, moving effortlessly forward. As it moves, you move in harmony with the bird towards a state of serene relaxation. Imagine yourself rising and soaring away from your tension and frustration, motionless and buoyant on your own currents of relaxation. As the eagle slowly glides and drifts towards the horizon, feel yourself re-emerging from this exercise. Become more aware of your body, become more aware of the room, and finally open your eyes and awake. I hope that you are feeling relaxed and ready to talk about our older adults. It is a very serious problem. And as I stated before, a lot of us would think, why would they be thinking about what's going on with them? It happens for all of us. We talked about adolescents and teens. We talked about the population in general. Some of the reasons for among our older adults are physical frailty. The physical frailty of older adults means they are less likely to recover from an attempt. Older adults are less likely to be discovered and rescued. And older adults plan more carefully and they use more deadly weapons. Let's think about that. So attempts by older adults are much more likely to result in death than among younger people. And those are the reasons why. They plan more carefully. They use more deadly means. They're less likely to be discovered and rescued because think about it. We typically don't check in on them. They're living alone. They're by themselves. They're isolated. Most of their friends are gone. It's just them. So people don't really check on them frequently. So it's going to be a minute before somebody checks in and discovers them. And because of their frailty, they're less likely to recover from an attempt. And men 85 and older have the highest rate of any group in this country. Men 85 and older have the highest rate of any group in this country. And again, we think at 85, you lived 85 years. Hi. So when we talk about why, some of the risk factors, we talk about older adults, it's depression and other mental health problems. Remember, they've lived 65, 75, 85 years. They've been through the Great Depression. They've been through depression, anxiety, the loss of loved ones, job loss, mental health issues. They've been through some things that we are just now starting to go through, and we feel stressed. So they've been through all of it. They've seen it, they've heard it, they've been here, done that. Substance abuse problems. Substance abuse just isn't for young people. So think about that. Maybe they had substance abuse problems in their youth, in their mid-50s, in their 60s, and then all that drinking and drugging and all that took hold and had medical effects in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And now their body's breaking down. Physical illness, disability, pain, chronic pain for anybody, young, middle-aged, older. It's no joke. It is hard to deal with chronic pain, and a lot of people just want it to end. So think about being 85 in chronic pain, and there's no end. Surgery, most often for older people, is contraindicated. They can't have it because of their age, and their likelihood of surviving it isn't great. So then they just sit in pain. And Tylenol, Percocet, oh, not really even touching it. So I sit in pain and I can't really move and I can't walk. Social isolation. A lot for this group. They've watched husbands or wives die, friends die. Some of them have had friends that they've had since high school. And now all those people are gone. I have sat with my elderly clients that are like in their 70s and 80s, and they will say to me, I don't have anything to do. All my friends are dead. There's nobody here. And this is the hilarious part I will tell you about. Sometimes we have to laugh to keep from crying. So this is where I'm going with this. I had a client that told me she lives in a senior citizens building with other senior citizens. They have community activities down in the community room. She can go play bingo. And so I'm saying to her, Mrs. So-and-so, why don't you go do A, B, and C? I don't want to be down there with all them old people. A lot of them think exactly like that. Because think about it. When you think about yourself, do you think that you're the age that you are? Most of us don't. We forget. And then we look in the mirror like, oh yeah, I'm that age. It's the same for them. They don't see themselves as old. So then to go to a room of other people their age and they can see it, they don't want to be around they don't want to be around the old people. And that is a very real thing. And in the nursing home, I would hear that all the time. Mr. Smith, why don't you go down to activities? Well, it's a bunch of old people down there. I don't want to be with them. Dude, you're the same age. But that's how they feel. And so there's that isolation there. They've had depression. There may have been other symptoms. And for men, it's lethal means. For women, it may be pills. And let's face it, when we're older, and this is, again, getting old is not for the weak. Our health declines. We're seeing the doctors more. We have more doctor's appointments than we have social engagements. And with those doctor's appointments often comes a lot of medications. So they could take a lot of medications if they want to. Marked feelings of hopelessness. This chronic pain will never end. My friends aren't here anymore. My children don't visit. Or think about them that never got married, never had children. That isolation again. There's nobody here to take care of me. There's nobody here who cares for me. So what do? I'm alone. What's the use of being here any longer? Lack of interest in the future plans. 75, 85. I've had my patients tell me, I don't have much longer to be here. I don't even know what I'm here for. What am I going to do? Because it's not like they're 40 or 50 and they got like 30 more years. They're 70 and 80. And they know they maybe got 20, 10, 15. It's a hard pill to swallow if you haven't had quality of life or you feel like your quality of life is gone. Okay? Impulsivity due to cognitive impairment. And I'm not necessarily talking about Alzheimer's dementia. I am just talking about the normal forgetfulness that comes with aging. How many of us, and you don't have to raise your hand if you're here by yourself or with somebody else, you can just say it to yourself. How many of us are forgetful at the age we're at now? Me? I can walk into a room and totally forget why I walked in there. And I'm nowhere near 70, 80, 90. So imagine being that and just having age-related forgetfulness come in, let alone beginning stages of dementia or Alzheimer's. That's terrifying. And they think, who wants to live like this? Family discord. We don't always get along with our children. We have different opinions. Families fall out. Family dysfunction. There's tons of things. The death of a loved one. If you have been married to your soulmate for 60 years and then they pass, and that is all you know. A lot of people have died from a broken heart. How many times have you heard and or witnessed A spouse dies, and within 6 months to a year, the other one follows. It's a real thing. Having access to lethal means, firearms or other weapons, daring or taking risk behaviors, doing things they wouldn't normally do. And for them, some of the risk behaviors, and this may sound silly, but think about it, knowing that they're supposed to have their cane, but they don't take their cane. They're just going out, walking around, going over curbs, not picking up things. Those are risk factors, because a fall at 40 is very different from a fall at 80. That recovery is very different, or can be deadly. Sudden personality changes, alcohol or medication misuse or abuse. Again, lethal means. And verbal suicide threats. How many of us have heard this from our elderly loved ones? You'd be better off if I wasn't here. I don't want to be a burden. Or you can hear it now. Oh, when I get old, just put me in a nursing home. I don't want y'all coming to see me and checking on me. Just visit me once a month. You need to think about what that sounds like, what that looks like. Again, having lost multiple loved ones, being homebound, feeling like a burden, losing their senses. Loss of vision is a big one. Loss of hearing is a big one. That's the loss of independence. Just think, you've lived all this time and now you can't see. Your cataracts are so bad. You have glaucoma. Now they took your license away. I will be the first to tell you, if somebody took my license away, I would be devastated. Driving is my therapy. And driving is independence for a lot of people. So could you imagine telling your mother or father they can no longer drive? Some of us getting cussed out on point right then and there. And then some of them are going to drive anyway. So they're putting their lives at risk and others' lives at risk. And then you have to be the person to tell them they can't drive, or the person to take their keys, which causes a stressed relationship between you and your parents or your elderly loved one. Again, making them feel like, then what's the use if I can no longer take care of myself? And as their health decline and they need more help, and now somebody's coming to bathe them, wipe them, change them. Again, their independence is gone. They don't want to live like that's a burden. That whole thing, I don't want to be a burden to you. So these are the things that older adults feel like when they get to that point. Food insecurity, financial troubles if their loved one passes and that income is gone, where they can no longer take care of themselves, where they've been scammed by an insurance company or some other thing. I don't know if you all remember stories of hearing elderly people going into the store and buying cat food because they couldn't really afford to buy food, and cat food was cheaper, but it was edible. And that would break my heart, but I knew it was true. So those types of things that break our heart, and they don't want to live like that anymore. And so these are some of the reasons, and we have to look at why we don't treat or hear about depression in older adults. And it's because we think they're older, they're gonna feel kind of sad, they lost their friends. Depression is not a precursor for getting older. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're supposed to be depressed. All those things I just discussed are the reasons why they're depressed. It is not a normal part of aging. And we should not assume that it is a normal part of aging. It is not. We need to look into why their mood is dipping, why it's low, why their personality has changed, what is going on with them. We need to ask questions just like we do with our kids, our teens, our young kids. They're not our kids, but they are our kids. But our young 24, 26, 30-year-old, our children, we need to ask of our parents, our aunts, our uncles, our elderly, hey, what's going on with you? What's really bothering you? Are you missing someone? Are you feeling okay? Is there anything that I can be doing that would make this better? How can I help? Let them tell you how you can help. What is it that you need? Asking more than what's wrong. Because it could be so many things. It could be too much to name, which then gives you this answer. Oh, nothing, I'm fine. They're not. They may not be. So let's ask specifically. How can I help you? Is there anything that's bothering you that I can help you? Are you lonely? Do you want to go out? What can I do for you? Let's go to a movie. Engage them. Take them out. They love being with some of them. Some people are hermits now. Don't get me wrong. Some people are loners, but we can even check in on our loners. They love a phone call just to check in and see how they're doing. And remember, these aren't going to be our texters. They look at texts and think, how rude and disrespectful. I called you. Why are you not calling me back? And some of them are tech savvy, so they will like to text. But check in on them. They're often feeling alone. There was a study that said 58% of older adults who die by suicide had seen a primary care practitioner in the last month of their life. But nobody asked what was going on. They just assumed that they were depressed because they were old. And they talked about physical complaints rather than their mental concerns. So if we can, let's go to their doctor's appointments with them if they let us. We can cajole our way in. But they talk about physical pain a lot. Physical pain can lead to mental pain. I keep telling you my back hurts or this hurts or that hurts. There's mental pain there too. Okay, well, are you sad about it? How do you feel about it? Are you depressed? Are you anxious? And they can say, oh, I'm not depressed. I just feel sad. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about your mood. What would you like to do? And there's plenty of interventions for them. We can get them into social clubs. We can go visit them. We can talk about medication management. We can talk about therapy with them. There are gerontologists, geriatric specialists. There is a whole field that is specifically created for older adults that we can create a space for. Silver Sneakers is one of them. Silver Sneakers helps them, and it's part of their insurance. Most insurances will pay for Silver Sneakers. That helps them get up and moving and going around and pays for them to go to any activity they want to, and just helping them feel as alive as they want to feel. Some things we can't do anything about. Some things, like with the chronic pain, we may not be able to relieve the chronic pain, but we can be a sounding board for how they feel. But sometimes, truthfully, we get drained with hearing about their bowel movements or hearing about, what's going on. But sometimes they need that. And we need to sit and listen. So some of the protective factors that we can give them is care for their mental and physical health. Again, asking questions. How are you? What can I do? You're feeling sad? Let's talk about that. Reminiscing is a big one. A lot of my sessions with my older adults isn't necessarily about problem solving. 75, 85 years old. They know how to solve problems. A lot of what I do is I listen to stories about when they were younger, when they lived in California, when they traveled to Las Vegas, when they went to New Orleans, when they had their babies, when they were with their husbands, when they traveled, when they were with their girlfriends, all the fun stuff they did. And I hear about some of the trauma they went through. But what they really want is somebody to talk to and listen. And those are a lot of my sessions. I just listen. I listen to their stories. And they come in 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and I listen to the same story. And I'm okay with that because I realize I'm one of few people that they have that actually sits and listen. And I'm going to ask about their health, their physical health. How you feeling? What does that mean to you? How does that make you feel? You know, how would you like it to be? If you could change something, what would you change? You know, we talk about it. And they tell me the things they want to tell me. And I listen to stories. How they used to be in the plays, and they used to sing, and they used to dance, and the music they liked. And I listen to all of that. I listen to talking history. That's not in any history. So sometimes we can just listen. And that is what they need. That social connectedness. And sometimes we talk about coping skills. They don't really listen to my coping skills because I'd like for them to go to groups, but I tell them anyway. We talk about going out and what that would look like, and maybe reaching out to a family member they haven't seen, or when their niece or great nephew invites them out, go ahead and go. And what was that like? And to have them come back a month later and be like, Dr. Childs, my nephew called and I went out with him and it was great. And I was with my great grandniece and da-da. I love to hear that. And then I can applaud them on that and tell me next time what happens with such and such. And so I become a part of their family. So they come and they sit and talk, and it's just good. It's good for them. It's good for me. And then they have a social connectedness. And so helping them adapt to the change. And when they tell me their stories, I can say, oh my gosh, you know what? You've been through a lot and you've been really resilient. You know, how does it feel to have come all this way and see your legacy? Everything that you've done and you're still here. How did you do it? And then they tell me how they did it. And that helps me to help them remember how resilient they are and why they still need to be. So there's ways that we can pour into them, even though that they're our ancestors, that we're their legacy. We can still let them know what they mean to us. So with that, we always say where there is help, there is hope. So we want to keep them connected, because that's what it's all about. Don't let them be isolated. Make sure they know that they have value. They need to know that they have worth, and they are worth more than their weight in gold. These people, those recipes, those dinners that they make, if you want them, get them. Have them write them down. That makes them feel valued. They're passing on legacy. Tap into that. Listen to their stories. Like, glom onto all of it. This is history. Take pictures. Cherish them. Honor them. Help them feel wanted. Help them connect to organizations if they want to. Friendship, find that sense of purpose. And one study found, and this was in Italy, I think this is people, found that phone calls twice a week to at-risk seniors made them much less likely to want to kill themselves. Twice a week. Twice a week. And doesn't have to be 2-hour phone call. It could be, hey, I called to check on you. How are you? Wonderful. Pen pals. Get the grandkids to write to them or text them or call them, or get the family involved. It doesn't have to be all on one person. Get everybody involved. Make them feel loved. So my challenge to you, simple. Check in with your elders. Love on them. Be with them. Hug them. Just be in touch. Make them feel connect to them. I have 2 affirmations. I have a caregiver affirmation, whether you're the daughter, the son, the niece, great niece, nephew, cousin, whoever you are, caregiver. My affirmation for you is, I play a vital role in my loved one's health, and I do what is important. Elder affirmation for my elders, I release any negative thoughts that do not serve me. And remember, regardless of your mental health journey, life is always better with you here. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in our next podcast.
Thank you for listening. This has been the Life is Better With You Here podcast with Dr. Childs. For more episodes, you can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and more. We would also like to give gratitude to our sponsors, the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation and Global Insight Productions, without whom we wouldn't be able to do this. For more information about our sponsors, please visit ohiospf.org and globalinsightpro.com. For more information about us, visit our website, lifeisbetterwithyouhere.org/. We look forward to seeing you next week. And if you have any suggestions for episode topics, please leave us a comment. Also, if you or someone you love is in crisis, please call 988 or text Steve, STEVE, to 741-741 for free and confidential support 24/7. And again, thank you.